Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're just new around here. I'm Sophie and this video is something. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it is something. I've been sitting in front of a blank page for the script for the better part of 3 weeks now, and I really needed to do something about that. First, I had no ideas. Although that is technically wrong, I have had ideas, but I've sat on them too long and now I think they are all stupid, so they are not getting turned into videos. Second, when I finally had an idea I felt I could talk on, I got stuck. I told myself I'd work on the script while on the plane for a short trip to Rome, only I didn't. I didn't on the flight back either. Instead I opted for the easier entertainment of reading. But then writing about how you're feeling creatively stagnant and plateauing while your mom sits in the seat next to you, it's kind of awkward. Coming back from Rome, I had to nurse my foot for a while because stupid things happened. It's fine, my foot is fine, it just needed some rest. So I spent all hours not related to the day job on the couch watching Stargate rather than working on this script. And I could have done that from the couch. That's why I got the stupid iPad last year. But in true, undiagnosed ADHD fashion, I've left this task to the last minute, hoping the adrenaline fueling me with an upcoming deadline would get me there. If this video is actually on time, then yes, it did. If not, oh well. I technically set aside an entire weekend to work on this video, already having adjusted the workload by just saying it'll have a simple editing style, and I'll be sure to find some recording of me painting something to put in as a time-lapse. Instead, I've procrastinated on it by spending most of my weekend in my sketchbook. So, what's going on here? I alluded to it earlier already. I feel stuck in more ways than one. If I want to break it down, it'll be the creative side, the art business, and how I've maneuvered myself into a corner with YouTube. So let's start from the top, shall we? I know this may seem weird to say after I've just said that I procrastinated in my sketchbook for almost the entire weekend, but I currently don't have a lot of drive to draw and create. In fact, before I opened my sketchbook this weekend, I hadn't been drawing for almost 2 weeks. I'd like to blame this on seasonal affective disorder, but while it certainly plays into the creative rut, it's not the sole culprit. I'm also stuck because I've been stretching myself thin for a while. I've been working on the monthly mail club, the weekly-ish streams. I know they've not been exactly weekly recently, but they were an easy thing to take out of the equation for a while. Writing on my story, prepping for conventions, keeping this here channel going, taking care of the household and working a full-time job. And it's a lot sometimes. There are periods when everything works like a well-oiled machine and everything is awesome. And then seemingly out of nowhere, this house of cards just comes crumbling down. And when I dwell on it for just a moment too long, crawling my way out of that hole will be all the harder. So that happened. The house of cards came crumbling down. I'm filled up with my various self-given responsibilities well enough for the past year, but looking back, I've been running out of steam back in September. I kept the machinery going for a while longer, but eventually the to-do lists got longer and my energy less. I've been pushing my own deadlines in front of me and barely got around to doing the things that I actually wanted to work on. And once I'm stuck like that, it is difficult to get the creative juices flowing, and yet it feels like I have to, because without them, nothing else is going to get done. It's a catch-22 situation. In that regard, I'm glad I got stuck on this video and just released the frustration in my sketchbook. I'm sure I'll get around to that one again relatively soon. It's just a cyclic thing sometimes, and this time it's compounded by SAD and feeling exhausted. But I'll be back to drawing eventually. I have done nothing but refuel those creative batteries this last week. And in a way, I'll have to get back to it soon anyway. This month is already half over, and I still have 0 ideas for next month's mail club. Whoops. But there are other things weighing on me more, and this is going to get a bit rambly. I'm sorry about that. One of the easiest pieces of weight to pinpoint are conventions and art shows. They are exhausting. It's usually involving a lot of prep work, a weekend away from home, and being around a lot of people, after having worked an entire full-time week. I'm not the best when it comes to peopling, that doesn't make it easier. But in the past, I've built up a lot of dread around going to conventions and then had a good time actually. And up until this year, I've always walked away with a little bit of profit that I could reinvest into art supplies, tech I needed for art, or other things necessary for the business side of this operation. But this year is different. The conventions I've been at this year were mostly flops. I had hoped that after I hadn't been to any last year, which is a long story, that this year might be different and I'd finally not sink endless money into my art again. But alas, conventions and art shows show the uncertainty of our current times. The world is in flames and people worry about putting food on the table long term and keeping a roof over their heads, not about art to hang on their walls or stickers to beautify their trendy water bottles or something. Not making the money back is not the worst thing. I've got a good day job and can plan ahead regardless. Making money would be preferable, but I can take the financial hit. What's worse is how much this eats away at me creatively and in terms of my self-worth. I know I shouldn't depend on outside validation and don't conflate my self-worth with how well my art does, but it's never quite that easy, is it? I wish it was, but art is so much of myself that not reaching people feels like failing. I'm failing a lot. I know art isn't universal and everybody's taste in art is different. My art won't appeal to everybody, and it shouldn't. Imagine we'd collectively like the same thing. That would be boring. No, it's good that not everybody likes or finds my art appealing. It's just important to find my people. Or for lack of a better word, my target audience. And I've been historically bad at that, which doesn't help if I want to bring Kia's story to life eventually, because I've just seen how much an editor rightfully costs, and I'm under no illusion that I won't need an editor. English isn't my first language. There are likely many weird sentence constructions in my writing, let alone the proper use of words. Even if that wasn't the case, editors are essential in writing anything that you want to publish. Sure, I could try the traditional publishing route. It comes without the financial burden, but it's slow, and it comes with a lot of rejection by design, something I don't think I have in me to bear right now. Self-publishing has more of a financial risk, and it can still end in rejection, but I can believe in my stories for a little while longer at least. Okay, I've veered off topic again. Conventions. I'll still try to get into shows for next year. In fact, I've already sent out some applications and we'll see if I can manage to get into some. This year might have been a fluke, and I've got too much product on my shelves to not at least try. If it doesn't work out next year, I can still shred some of my old prints. That option isn't going anywhere. Speaking of my shelves, they are a constant reminder whenever I enter this room that I'm not doing well enough to promote my shop. I have had exactly one order all year, and it might be time to close the shop for good, especially since it costs to keep it running. There's the hosting, the alternate imprint address so I don't dox myself, the packaging licenses, the legal interface, because we don't want bored up-and-coming lawyers suing us for not following laws, and there are so many laws. All of that adds up with nothing to show for. Not to mention the time put into making the listings, product photography, and keeping things up to date. It's all fun and games to run an online art shop until you don't get any orders. To think I only opened this shop because some people were still interested in purchasing copies of my comics, despite the failed Kickstarter to print them in bulk. I thought I might be able to build on that anyway, but that was a pipe dream, and that is weighing me down right now. I plan on closing the shop for January and February for unrelated reasons anyway. It's just a very busy time of year in my day job, and I don't want to think about the shop in that time, but it might just be permanent, to be honest. Frankly, the entire business side I've been wanting to build is not moving anywhere. I used to have such big plans, and here I am totally stuck on that front and close to giving up on it. I'm just not meant to make money with my art, I guess, and at this point I probably have sunk enough money into it. And then there is YouTube. Oh, what monster did I unleash here. For the longest time, I wanted my art to just speak for itself. I wanted to be able to post and run, so to speak. But that's not how online spaces work. People cling to people, not posts. And so I've decided to give YouTube a try. It's been doing well enough, I think. There's no explosive growth, but that wasn't the goal to begin with. However, the view counts have been going down on my longer videos, so I'm assuming they are not what you guys want to watch. The sketch or work with me videos in particular, but also the latest video on revamping my website. They were kind of dead on arrival. I get that not every video by every creator hits the mark, but it's been such a consistent downward trend without me being able to tell why that it's put a dent in my joy of making videos, which probably didn't help me with sitting down and writing the script, you know? I see how it's coming together. I've already come to the decision that there will only be one more sketch with me video before I cease doing them. That gives me 5 videos of the manner, and I can view this experiment as failed and move on. To where? I don't really know. I've enjoyed making them and spending some regular time working on my things, but if they actively hurt the channel, I can't really afford to keep making those videos anymore, and that makes me sad. On the other hand, going back to only monthly rather than bi-monthly videos will not help with the algorithm. Posting less in this economy, not on an insatiable algorithm's watch. But this is a lose-lose situation one way or another, and I'll have to take one of the hits. And posting less frequently is the only logical decision here. Shorts are such an oddball too. Sometimes they take off out of nowhere, and sometimes they don't. And I can't really say why either. I put about equal effort into most, but it remains a mystery regardless. I'll likely have to cut down on shorts as well. It just takes too much time out of my schedule that I could be spending writing or drawing, you know, the things I actually want to do. Streams will be back again eventually. I enjoy hanging out and I have a lot of stuff to work on streams. There's still an entire comic to make. Sometimes I just don't feel like I'll make for good company. It is what it is. Generally speaking, I still plan on making them a weekly thing again. It may just take some time for me to work myself out of this rut again. And with that, I'm ending this whining and wallowing session, and return to doing so on my own time. In the grand scheme of things, these are not the worst problems to have. However they go, they won't affect the eventual heat death of the universe, but they're still problems for me right now, weighing this entire operation down like a block of concrete, and I still need to find a sledgehammer. If you've made it this far, I hope your month is going better. If not, here's a ghost hack, or a metaphorical sledgehammer, whichever is more useful. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, Kapla.